There comes a moment in every life when the noise of the world fades and all that remains is the truth you've been running from. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg for your attention. It waits, patient, unyielding, until you have no choice but to face it. And when you do, it changes you. You learn that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 words. That holding your tongue when anger burns in your chest is not weakness, but control. There are things worth saying, and there are things worth letting go, because not every battle deserves your sword. You begin to understand the cruelty of time, that the moments you waste will never return, and the world will not pause so you can catch your breath. Life moves forward, whether you're ready or not. And if you keep telling yourself someday, you will one day wake to find that someday has become never. You realize the hardest battles are not against others, but against yourself, against the doubts that tell you you're not enough, against the fears that whisper you cannot win. Every scar you carry, whether on your skin or buried deep inside, tells the story of a fight you survived. You come to see that trust is the rarest currency we possess. It takes years to earn and only a single breath to destroy. Guard it as you would your own life, for once it is broken, it is never whole again. And you learn the most dangerous choice you can make is to do nothing. In the face of injustice, silence is consent. In the presence of evil, inaction is surrender. What you tolerate, you empower. There will be times when the path you must take leaves you standing alone, when your voice is the only one in the dark, when the cost of walking forward is the loss of every hand you once held. But if that path is the one that holds the truth, you take it, because living a lie will destroy you from the inside out. This is the truth. Strength is not found in the loudest shout, the quickest blade, or the brightest light. Strength is found in the quiet resolve to stand, to endure, and to keep moving forward, no matter how long the night lasts. And when you understand that, you are no longer the same. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of something far greater. Restraint, control, and the quiet power to choose your moment. Most people misunderstand it. They think silence means weakness, that it is an admission of fear and inability to speak. But those who have walked through enough storms understand. Silence can be sharper than any blade, heavier than any stone, and more unforgettable than any shouted word. When you speak in anger, your words are carried away by the wind, forgotten as quickly as they are heard. But when you withhold them, when you let your opponent wrestle with the weight of what you did not say, the silence echoes in their mind long after the moment has passed. It forces them to fill in the blanks themselves. And the human mind is far more cruel to itself than any insult you could ever voice. Silence is discipline. It is the refusal to be pulled into chaos, to react simply because someone demands it of you. The world will try to provoke you, to drag you into pointless battles where your energy is wasted and your focus scattered. But silence is the shield you hold up while you wait for the right time to strike, or the wisdom to know there is no need to strike at all. It is also a mirror. In your silence, people will reveal themselves. Their impatience, their arrogance, their insecurity, it all rises to the surface when they cannot get a reaction from you. In this way, silence becomes a weapon, not through aggression, but through exposure. But perhaps the most profound weight of silence is in moments of loss, betrayal, or truth too deep for words. Sometimes there is nothing you can say that would carry the gravity of what you feel. In those moments, your silence says everything. It tells of pain that cannot be softened, of respect too deep for interruption, of love that is beyond the reach of language. To master silence is to master yourself. To know when to speak and when to withhold is to move through the world with intention. And when you understand that every word you do not say is as important as every word you do, you begin to wield a power that cannot be taken from you. For in the right hand, silence is not emptiness, it is command. Time does not slow for anyone. It does not pause so you can gather your strength, nor does it rewind so you can try again. It moves forward without hesitation, without mercy, without regard for your readiness. And every second that passes is a piece of your life you can never reclaim. We speak of having time as though it were an endless supply, but in truth, it is a fragile currency we spend with every breath. Some waste it on grudges, waiting for apologies that will never come. Others spend it chasing approval from those who will never give it. Many simply let it slip through their fingers, telling themselves there will always be tomorrow. But the truth is, tomorrow is never promised. You cannot bargain with time. You cannot store it away for when it is more convenient. It will not wait for the right mood, the perfect circumstances, or the someday you imagine. If you have a dream, a love, a change you need to make, there is no better moment than now. Waiting only gives time the power to take those chances from you. Time's unforgiving nature is not cruelty, it is truth. It reminds us that life is not infinite, that each day is both a gift and a countdown. This is why regret is such a heavy burden. It is the weight of knowing that the moment you need it is gone, and there is no path back to it. Yet within this truth lies urgency. If you understand that every tick of the clock is a step closer to the end, then you learn to treat your moments like they matter. You speak the words you've been holding. You forgive before it's too late. You take the risk, not because you are certain of the outcome, but because you are certain the chance will not wait. The nature of time is that it moves on. The choice is whether you move with it or watch it pass while telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. Because in the end, time will not bend to you. You must bend to it or be left behind. The fiercest battles are the ones no one else sees. They are fought in the shadows of the mind, in the restless hours before dawn, in the silence between heartbeats. Outwardly, you may look composed, steady, even calm, but beneath the surface, a storm rages. You wrestle with doubts that whisper you are not enough, fears that coil around your will, and memories that refuse to fade, no matter how far you try to outrun them. This battle has no clear enemy, no obvious weapon, and no cheering crowd when you win. It is fought against the parts of yourself that are difficult to face, the voice that questions your worth, the hesitation that stops you from acting, the guilt that lingers long after mistakes have been made. These are not wounds you can show, but they cut just as deep as any blade. The danger of this quiet war is that it is invisible to others. People will pass you in the street and have no idea you are fighting for your life on the inside. And so you learn to smile while carrying the weight, to speak calmly while your thoughts are screaming. You become both the warrior and the battlefield. Victory in this fight rarely comes in sudden, glorious moments. It is earned in small, stubborn acts. Getting out of bed when you want to disappear, speaking a truth you've been afraid to voice, choosing to keep going when quitting would be easier. Each decision to push forward, no matter how small, is a strike against the darkness. There will be days when you feel you are losing, when the weight is too much to bear. But even then, the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still fighting, that is proof of a strength you may not yet recognize. The quiet battle within will never fully vanish, but each time you face it, you learn a little more about yourself. You learn that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. And in the end, it is these unseen victories that shape who you truly are. Trust is one of the most delicate things a person can give. It is not offered lightly, even when it appears to be. It is built over time, piece by piece, through promises kept, truth spoken, and actions that match words. And yet for all the effort it takes to earn, it can shatter in an instant. One lie, one betrayal, one moment of carelessness, and what took years to create is reduced to fragments. The fragility of trust lies in its invisible nature. You cannot hold it in your hands, yet its presence is felt in every interaction. It is the unspoken agreement that says, I believe you will not harm me. When that belief is broken, the damage is not just to the relationship, but to the very foundation a person stands on. Once trust is broken, it does not return in the same form. You can repair it, but the cracks remain. Like glass glued back together, it may look whole from a distance, but up close the fractures are there, silent reminders of the moment it fell apart. And for the one who has been betrayed, those cracks can catch the light of every doubt, making it hard to see the relationship as it once was. This is why trust should be guarded like a treasure. Every promise you make should be weighed before you speak it, and every word should be followed by action. Do not ask for someone's trust if you are not willing to carry the weight of it, because it is a burden you have to protect, not exploit. When you're given trust, you are being handed something rare, a piece of someone's vulnerability. To abuse it is not only to harm them, but to diminish yourself. The measure of a person's character is often found in how they treat the trust placed in them. In the end, trust is both powerful and fragile. Powerful enough to build unshakable bonds, yet fragile enough to be destroyed in a heartbeat. And once gone, it may never return in the same way again. That is why it must be valued before it is lost. Doing nothing may feel safe, that may feel neutral, as though by standing still you avoid making mistakes. But in truth, doing nothing is a choice, and it carries a cost far heavier than most realize. When you see something wrong and remain silent, you allow it to continue. When you witness injustice and turn away, you become part of the reason it survives. The world does not only change through action, it also changes through inaction. Every problem that festers, every cruelty that spreads, every injustice that grows in strength does so because enough people decided it wasn't their fight. Silence and stillness are not shields. They are invitations for darkness to thrive. There is a certain comfort in believing that if you do nothing, you cannot be blamed. But history tells another story. It remembers those who acted with courage, but it also remembers those who watched and stayed quiet. And in the eyes of time, apathy can be as damning as the harm itself. Doing nothing also exacts a personal toll. It erodes your sense of integrity, leaving you with the quiet guilt of knowing you could have done more. That guilt does not fade. It lingers, resurfacing when you see the consequences of the moment you chose to stay still. Regret has a way of whispering in the dark, asking what might have happened if you had acted when you had the chance. Action is not always grand or public. Sometimes it is as small as speaking up when others remain silent, offering help when it is inconvenient, or refusing to turn away when someone needs you. These moments may seem insignificant, but they can ripple outward in ways you cannot predict. The price of doing nothing is not just paid by you, it is paid by those who needed you and did not find you. And when the cost finally reveals itself, it is often too late to undo. Choosing to act will not always guarantee victory, but choosing to do nothing guarantees surrender. There will come a time when the path you must take leads you away from the safety of the crowd. You will look around and realize there are no familiar faces beside you, no voices to reassure you, no hands to steady your steps. In that moment, the weight of solitude will press against you, and you will be tempted to turn back. But some journeys can only be taken alone. Walking alone requires a different kind of strength. It is not the strength to overpower others, but the strength to withstand doubt, your own and theirs. People may question your choices, criticize your direction, or try to convince you that you are wrong simply because you are different. Loneliness will whisper that perhaps they are right. But if the path you walk is the one your heart knows to be true, you must have the courage to keep moving forward. There's a quiet power in standing by your convictions when no one else will. Every step you take in solitude is a declaration that your worth is not dependent on agreement or applause. It is a reminder that integrity often demands separation from those who do not share your vision or your values. The road alone is rarely easy. Without others to lean on, you must learn to rely on your own resolve. You will face moments of exhaustion when the temptation to return to the familiar is overwhelming, but you will also find moments of clarity where the noise of the world fades and you hear your own voice clearly for the first time. Walking alone does not mean you will always be alone. In time, those who truly belong in your life will find you along the way. But the courage to take those first solitary steps, to trust yourself enough to keep going when no one else will, that is the mark of someone who chooses truth over comfort. And that kind of courage can carry you farther than any crowd ever could. In the end, life is not measured by the noise we make, the battles we win in public, or the approval we gather along the way. It is measured by the truths we face, the moments we refuse to waste, the inner wars we choose to fight, and the trust we guard as if it were life itself. It is defined by the courage to act when silence will be easier, and the resolve to keep walking when the road leaves us standing alone. These truths are not gentle. They do not flatter or comfort. They demand something from you: discipline, honesty, and the willingness to bear the weight of choice. But if you live by them, you will find a strength that no one can give you and no one can take away. Time will keep moving. The world will keep testing you. And the question you must answer every day is simple. Will you let these truths pass you by, or will you let them change you?